Okay, let's cut through the noise about AI for a second. We're not going to talk about the fluffy stuff, writing better emails or coming up with social media captions. Nope. We're talking about your next employee.
Here's a number for you. 25,000. What is it? Well, that's how many AI agents the consulting firm McKinsey currently has on its books. They've got 40,000 human employees and 25,000 AI agents.
And here's the kicker. They don't just see them as software licenses. They're counted as staff. They're part of the official headcount. And get this, the plan is to get that to a 1-to-1 human-to-agent ratio by the end of the year.
Now, I know what you're thinking when you hear a number like that. Right, another story for the big end of town. Giant companies, massive budgets, huge IT teams. What's that got to do with me and my business?
Well, honestly, almost all the commentary out there gets this completely backwards. This is not an enterprise story. This is actually a massive opportunity for small and medium-sized businesses, for you.
And here's the logic. A giant corporation can absorb waste. They can have people doing repetitive, low-value stuff, and sure, it's inefficient, but it won't sink the ship. But if you're running a team of, say, 12 people, you cannot afford that waste. Every single hour your team spends on routine grunt work is a precious hour they are not spending on things that actually grow the business.
To really get why this matters now, you have to understand the fundamental shift that's happened. AI has moved on from just talking about things to actually doing things.
This slide lays it out perfectly. The old way, a chatbot, is kind of like asking for a recipe. It'll tell you what to do. The new way, an AI agent, is like having someone who actually goes to the shops, buys all the ingredients, comes back, and cooks dinner for you. One suggests, the other executes. It's a huge difference.
So let's bring this home. Let's talk about what this means right here in Australia and why it's a real, tangible advantage for any business owner who's paying attention right now.
Deloitte actually ran the numbers on this, and what they found is pretty staggering. If just 1 in every 10 Australian small businesses gets a little bit better at using AI, it would add $44 billion to our national GDP every single year.
But here's the reality check. Right now, for businesses with around 5 to 19 employees, a massive 60% aren't using AI at all. Another 35% are just dipping their toes in. Only a tiny 5% are what you'd call fully enabled. And that gap, that huge chasm between the 5% and everybody else, that right there is the opportunity.
Okay, enough with the big picture stuff. Let's get practical. What does putting an AI agent to work actually look like day to day in a normal business? Think about your accounts department. Chasing late invoices, right? A total time suck. An agent can handle it. It can monitor all your payment terms, automatically send out polite but firm reminders that get a bit stronger over time, and only loop in a human when it hits a rule you've set. The agent does the boring, repetitive part so your team can handle the tricky exceptions.
Or what about recruiting? Instead of sifting through a mountain of CVs, an agent can do that first pass. It screens them against what you're looking for, sets up interviews with the good ones, sends a polite no thanks to the rest, and just hands you a clean, short list to work from. The entire first round of hiring, just done.
Or maybe marketing. Imagine an agent that watches your ad campaigns around the clock. And it doesn't just send you a report. It acts. It sees an ad that's bombing, and it pauses it. It sees one that's flying, and it shifts more budget to it. Then it just sends you a quick summary of what it did. It's a proactive assistant, not just a dashboard you have to remember to check.
So at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, this all sounds pretty good. Too good. What's the catch? And you know what? That's the right question to be asking, because there are absolutely risks if you just dive in head first.
But here's the thing. When these AI projects fail, and they do, it's almost never because the technology itself didn't work. It's because the business didn't have a proper strategy for it in the first place.
And the numbers on this are pretty sobering. Gartner reckons that by 2027, 40% of these kinds of AI agent projects will just be scrapped. Not because they broke, but because the business couldn't point to the value they were creating.
This quote from the source material just hits the nail on the head. A business gets a shiny new tool. They roll it out with no clear plan, no way to measure if it's actually working, and then they're shocked when it doesn't deliver results. Sound familiar? It's the exact same mistake so many of us have made with marketing over the years.
So, knowing the traps, what's the smart way to get started? How do you make sure you don't end up in that 40%?
Well, it's actually a pretty simple 5-step playbook. First, identify 3 repetitive, time-eating tasks in your business. You know what they are. Second, rank them by how much of a pain they are and just pick one, the biggest headache. Start there. Third,
match that one task to an off-the-shelf tool. You don't need to build anything custom. Fourth, and this is critical, set the guardrails. Define exactly what the agent can do alone and where it needs a human to give the final okay. And last, number 5, measure it. Track the hours saved, the reduction in errors, faster response times, whatever matters for that task. If you can't measure it, you haven't thought about the problem clearly enough.
So look, at the end of the day, this whole thing boils down to a different question. It's not really about whether you trust AI. The real question is, can you afford to keep doing everything the old, manual way? Especially when you know your competitors are starting to wise up and automate. That's the real choice you're facing.